Oxtail is cheap, easy, and delicious. This is my favorite way to cook it. Oxtail really has two best friends in the whole wide world. It's red wine and black pepper. Oxtail's tough, it's chewy. The best thing to do is roast it first. Color it, you can do that in a pan, you can do that on the grill. Today I'm gonna do it in a pan. So we're gonna roast it nicey with some carrots, some celery, onion, garlic. Then we're going to braise it with red wine, a little bit of beef stock. Now, the thing about oxtail, the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to start it the day before and let it marinate with red wine. Basically a 2-day process. You're gonna start it today to eat it tomorrow. So right now I'm gonna cut up this mirepoix nice and small to medium size. Oxtail, I'm gonna season it into a bowl, into the fridge. It'll sit there until tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm gonna take it out and we're gonna cook it. A lot of times you get the oxtail out of the bag, it's sort of covered in blood. Doesn't sound very appetizing. I would just pat the blood off, dry it off a little bit, all right? And then you can start the marination process. I also have to thank my friend Jonathan Suarez with Fortune Fish here in New Orleans, Louisiana, for hooking me up with this oxtail. Thank you, Jay Swar. Okay, give them a little season, like don't go too crazy right now. You're gonna season them again when you cook it. But I would definitely give a little salt, a little pepper. A little bit of love. In. Great. Now, mirepoix. What is mirepoix, you might ask me? Good question. Mirepoix is vegetables that you cook with things to make those things taste fresh. Standard classic mirepoix, celery, onion, carrot. Here in New Orleans, they talk about Trinity. Trinity is mirepoix, but what is Trinity? Well, Trinity here is bell pepper, onion, celery. That's their mirepoix. They skip carrot. And a lot of the bases to their sauces, gumbo, all that stuff, that's what they start with. That's what they start using. That's what they cook with to make their stuff taste delicious. But we're doing classic mirepoix, celery, onion, carrot. Carrot, hold the carrot like this, start at the top, go to the bottom and turn it. Top, bottom, turn, top, bottom, turn, all right? Celery, don't need to peel it so much because we're braising it, but give it a wash, give it a rinse, make sure there's no dirt on it. Onion, for how much I'm doing here, probably half an onion's gonna be fine. All right. This is, like I would say, is quite a classic way to cook oxtail. Beef in general, braising beef, red wine, black pepper, mirepoix, herbs. You know, don't try to be fancy or weird, just like do the classic stuff right and it'll be good. You know, you're not gonna reinvent the wheel. And celery. Don't make a big deal out of it. Don't like try to cut them all perfect and little and fancy, whatever, like you're braising them, you know? Just keep it simple. A couple garlic cloves, bit of banter, thyme, red wine. Okay, look at that, great. Now you have a lid, you put a lid, cling film, whatever you want, in the fridge overnight. It is now tomorrow. We have our oxtail, it's been sitting in the fridge overnight with the vegetables, taking on that red wine, taking on that flavor, soaking it in a little bit, all right? We're gonna drain the wine off, we're gonna keep the oxtail and the vegetables, and we're gonna get in a pan and start cooking it, all right? Take our oxtail, just get it out on a little paper towel, clean all the bits off. Now we're gonna give it a season, all right? And we're gonna in the pan. So salt, all over every side. Like I said, don't be shy with the salt. Like, don't go crazy, but don't be afraid to use it, you know? Pepper. Nicey, season everywhere. Okay, great. A little bit of oil in your pan. I got a cast iron pan here. Okay. So we have our oxtail seasoned, salt and pepper. We have our vegetables that have been marinated with the oxtail overnight, and we're gonna now put the oxtail in the pan and start roasting it, start coloring it, all right? So straight in, pan's nice and hot, okay? I'll give them some color. Like I said, don't be shy, don't burn them, but don't be shy to roast them. Give them some nice sort of, you know, GBD, golden brown and delicious. Even possibly DBD, dark brown and delicious. Just be careful, like I said, with the wine. It's gonna color quickly, but. A little bit more oil. You see the smaller ones starting to take on more color, getting dark, you know, all the way around. Looks good. And you're really not cooking it right now. You're coloring it. You're giving it flavor. You know, you're taking all the surfaces, you're giving it this nice golden brown color, dark brown color, and just making it more delicious. That's all you're doing. We're gonna be cooking it when we put the liquid in. When we put it in the oven, then you're actually cooking it. It's gonna cook for probably, 2-3 hours in the oven before it's soft and tender. It's a very tough, chewy piece of the animal. The tail moves a lot, right? It has a lot of tissue in it that's tough and chewy. You really need to cook it. Basically, to check if it's done, you should be able to take the back of your spoon and sort of put your spoon in through the meat without any resistance. Is when you basically know, generally braising anything, that's how you can tell that braising is done. So we're pretty much looking good, all right? I'm happy with the color, maybe go a little bit longer, but it's pretty much there. See, nice golden brown all the way around, nice dark. You can tell there's flavor on it. Vegetables now are gonna go in. Smells really good. The vegetables have a lot of moisture on them, so they're kind of leaking out in the pan. There's a little bit of moisture in the pan now. That's fine, it'll evaporate. Then you just, kind of cook them, give them a little bit of color, sweat them down a little bit. All that onion, garlic, celery. Sweat those vegetables for a minute. Let the moisture from the vegetables sort of escape the pan. Sweat down a little bit, maybe come a little bit translucent. Not so much color dark, but just wake them up a little bit before we put the wine in. People talk about deglazing the pan. If you've ever heard the word deglazing. Basically, deglazing is you're roasting something in a pan, right? Like meat or fish, and some of that protein gets stuck to the pan, right? You have these like little bits of meat, and seasoning and fat stuck to the bottom of the pan. Then what you do is you put liquid in the pan. The liquid basically releases all of that flavor from the bottom of the pan up into the liquid. There's such thing as deglazing with vegetables because the vegetable has liquid in them, right? You start putting the vegetables in the pan and they start releasing their own liquid, especially onions, to a certain extent that is deglazing. But then obviously you add more liquid on top of that after. But now we're at a good spot, all right? The sound change in the pan is starting to get louder. You can tell that the vegetables are not sweating anymore, they're now frying, right? Which is now the time to put our wine in, So wine's in, now we're cooking the wine. We're cooking the wine down a little bit. Putting that raw alcohol flavor over the wine. We're not cooking the wine completely to nothing, but we're cooking it enough that we're gonna lose that raw alcohol flavor, all right off the bat, as well as making it hot, okay? Not gonna take too long because the pan's big and there's not much wine in there, so be pretty soon. Okay, wine's almost there. You see it staining the oxtail, getting a little bit glazy. Okay, great. Now we're gonna go in with beef stock, all right? Cover it, I'd say about halfway up with beef stock and have it high. Get that beef stock nice and hot. Then we're gonna put it in the oven. I have an oven on at 350 degrees. It'll probably cook realistically for about 2 hours. Anytime you're braising something like this, putting something in the oven with liquid, get the liquid hot, like boil it first, otherwise you're gonna put it in the oven, it's gonna take fucking an hour to get to the temperature it needs to be, and then your 2-hour process is gonna start then. Don't do that. Get your shit hot and then put it in the oven, all right? So we're gonna let it get nice and bubbly. We're gonna cover it with tin foil, and then we're gonna cook it. So now we have our liquid, it's boiling, it's hot. I wish you guys can smell it because it smells really delicious. I'm gonna cover it with tin foil and put it in the oven, all right? Why? Because all the liquid from the pan is gonna come up, hit the tin foil and come back down. It's gonna create a nice moist environment for that oxtail to be soft and not dry, all right? So covery, nicey. If your cast iron pan has a lid, even better, all right? 350 degree oven. We're gonna check it after 2 hours. All right, oxtail looks cooked. It's falling apart, soft. You can take the back of the spoon and put it through with no resistance, okay? Now, the issue right now is it's ripping hot. It's too hot to break into, okay? Anytime you braise anything, you need to let the meat cool down in the liquid that you cooked it in with the steam surrounded it. So I'm gonna put the tin foil back on. I'm gonna let this sit for another, I would say probably 20 to 30 minutes. Really let that steam sit down, go back into the meat, right? What would happen right now, so if you tried to pick this down right now, it'd be so hot that all the steam would come billowing out of the oxtail and it would end up being dry. You don't wanna do that. We're gonna trap that moisture in the meat. So have some patience, all right? Let the meat cool down, okay? And then we're gonna pick it and it'll be more delicious, all right? You could also see the sauce has reduced down, all right? We're gonna reduce it down a little bit more, taste it, adjust the seasoning, okay? And then we're gonna dress it with the oxtail and it's gonna be delicious, all right? So we'll see you in 30 minutes. Great, so our oxtail's been sitting here, it's been resting, it's cooled down now. I just took the cover back off, all right? And we're gonna pick it down. Or use a couple forks. You can use your hands, but I'm gonna use a couple forks and see how that goes. Okay, so we'll start just sort of hacking away at it, all right? Picking that meat off the bone. See, look, soft, delicious, a little bit of fat on it. That's ideal. Perfect piece of braised oxtail. Picking all that meat off. We have our oxtail in the pan with some of the cooking liquid that it cooked in, all right? All picked down, really nice, really beautiful. I'm gonna turn the pan back on a little bit, start getting it hot again because it's been resting. We're gonna finish it with a little bit of chopped parsley. We're also gonna finish it with a splash of vinegar, all right? There's a lot of fat in there, so I wouldn't really worry too much about adding butter. I mean, you can, maybe I should, but right now there's a good amount of fat, right? And it's emulsified. As you can see, it's not split. So emulsions, when you have fat into a liquid, and it's sort of emulsified together, it's not broken. You don't have fat and liquid separate. If I keep cooking this right now, if I keep it on really high, it's gonna separate. Then you're gonna have more fat than liquid and you're gonna have this situation. So you wanna just be careful of that, all right? And just don't get it too hot. Keep it so that it's all together. If it does split, that's fine. Just throw a little bit of beef stock in it or some water to bring it back together, all right? So we're just gonna chop some parsley. Parsley in. All right, a little splash of vinegar. I would recommend red wine vinegar, all right? Best friend, black pepper. Give a little stir. It's all together, nicey, glaze. Vinegar wakes it up a little bit, you know, cuts through the richness of it, you know, makes it more sharp, more round flavor. Fresh black pepper at the end gives that fresh black pepper flavor, not black pepper that's been cooking for 3 hours, okay? You know, I would taste it right now and see if it needs a little bit of salt. That's fucking good. A little more pepper. Tiny bit of salt. So I got my oxtail here in the pan. I'm just gonna put it into a bowl, all right? There you have it, braised oxtail